Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Who Dat Say podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Boy, let me catch my breath. It's been a while since we did a Who Dat Say podcast talking New Orleans Saints here on the channel, but it is draft season. Actually, it isn't. Draft season is over. The New Orleans Saints have made their picks. The picks is in, and so are these players in the Who Dat Nation. I am excited, if you can't tell. I'm happy with how this draft went. I'm happy with the moves that were made. Saints addressed a lot of needs on this team, and I think they're going to contribute in a positive manner. I mean, I know there are some question marks around some players. There's some uncertainty about them all because they haven't hit the field in the NFL. We don't know how these group of young men are going to pan out here in New Orleans. It could be bust. I'm praying that they're not, but the future looks bright. And the only thing that I can celebrate out of certainty is the fact that the Saints actually stepped up. They listened. They actually listened and did the right thing. And this goes all the way back to free agency. They addressed some needs in free agency. They took some swings. They brought in some players that are going to make an instant impact on this team. Travis Etienne to shore up that run game. You brought back Caden Ellis to fill a need on our linebacking core with the exit of the great Demario Davis. You brought in a solid tight end with Noah Fant. I think they really addressed some needs, and it was much needed. And so there were still some needs going into this draft that the Saints needed to address. A lot of people have been clamoring for another receiver, another corner. That offensive line definitely needed to be touched up a little bit. We needed a pass rusher. We needed these things. Those were the main sticking points in the Who Dat Nation, what we were clamoring for this offseason. And I'm happy to see that every single one of those areas have been addressed. Now it's up to the players, it's up to the coaching staff to get these players ready and see how it all pans out this upcoming season. And so going in, Saints had 8 picks in this year's draft. You had a first round, second round, a third round. You had 2 fourth-round picks and 2 fifth-round picks and a 6th-round pick. And you didn't have a 7th. Well, when it was all said and done, the Saints still, after making a trade during the draft, trading away one of their picks, they still got a pick back. And we still got 8 picks, along with a solid pass rusher that we needed. And so, man, how can you not be upset? Or how can you be upset about this draft? It's everything worked out pretty good in standing on this side of the microphone. And so let's go over all 8 additions to the Who Dat Nation, starting with the first pick, the 8th overall pick, the Saints' first pick in the 2026 NFL draft. The Saints select Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State. Agent Zero, another big target for Tyler Shuck in this offense. He is 6'2", 205 pounds. He fits the bill. He fits the bill. On paper, he looks like, okay, being alongside Chris Olave is good, but he can very well challenge for the first spot, for that wide receiver 1 spot. If, overtime, he can get that spot. In the event that the New Orleans Saints, don't work out a deal with Chris Olave, this being his final year, that 5th fifth-year option, uh, hey, you got something right there. And when you look at this receiving room, oh my God, Chris Olave, uh, uh, Jordan Tyson, who we just got. You got Devon Vele, Jalen Polk is still here. People forget we made that trade last year for him. You still have Mason Tifton, Bud Means. Well, no, Bud Means. Is he still on the team? Yeah, I think he's still here. And we still have a few more additions that we're gonna go over in a few. Trey Palmer, forgot about him. I mean, it's so many. There's so many, and so yeah, the Saints look real good in that wide receiver room. I feel real comfortable saying that Tyler Shuck, there's no excuses. Yeah, I know we probably expect a second year slump, but man, there's no excuse. But a little bit more backstory with Jordan Tyson. He started off his college career at Colorado in 2022. He led the team with 470 receiving yards after only playing 9 games. Right after that, unfortunately, he suffered an ACL, MCL, and a PCL tear, and that cut his season short. 2023 was a redshirt year. He only played 3 games. In 2024, he was first team All Big 12, Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year. He led the team with 75 receptions, 1,101 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. He started not 8, but he started 12 games that season, but he missed the Big 12 championship game and the college football playoffs quarterfinals after breaking his collarbone. I'm starting to see a pattern, huh? So we go to 2025, and he was third team AP All-American, first team All Big 12, led the team with 61 receptions, 711 yards, 8 touchdowns. He started 9 games before, you guessed it, he missed 4 games with a separated hamstring injury, or 2 separate hamstring injuries. So, yeah, it's clear to say that he has an injury history, but at this point, I really don't care. We always go with these injury prone players, and it comes back to bite us. Kendre Miller being the poster child of that. But even Tyler Shuck had a similar collegiate resume, was hurt every year. So far, so good with Tyler Shuck. Let's see if, and that's been the big thing, the 2-letter word that has been slapped on Jordan Tyson during this draft was if he can stay healthy. He is clearly the best receiver in the draft. Saints lucked up and got him at number 8. I think if he can stay upright, we got a dangerous weapon. If you look at some of the highlights of Jordan Tyson, you know that, man, this guy is the goods. He's for real. He is for real. Let's hope, pray, do some voodoo, whatever you got to do, that he stays healthy. Your first pick for the New Orleans Saints in the 8th overall pick in the draft, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State. We move to the second round for the Saints' second pick at 42 in the draft. The Saints needed to shore up that defensive line, among other places, but the D-line was another one. And they went and grabbed probably the meanest defensive tackle in the draft. I watched a couple of games with this fella, and he is a beast. He is something to contend with, and I can't wait to see him in black and gold. Defensive tackle Christian Miller from Georgia. He is 6'3", 321 pounds. Another position that is stacked with depth, and you need it when you're in a 3-4 defense. D tackle is probably one of the most important positions in that particular set of defense. You know, we already have last year's draft pick who didn't play last year because he got hurt in training camp or in the preseason, Verdon Burton. You also have Tyree Wilson, who we're going to go over in a few minutes. You have Nathan Shepard that's on the roster, Devon Gautreaux, Christian Boyd, Brian Brzee, John Ridgway the third. It's pretty stacked, and you're gonna put Christian Miller in that mix, in that a part of that rotation. Sign me up. It's gonna be something to watch to see how Brandon Staley orchestrates this defense and have the rotation going in a certain way, at least the way that he feels it will be effective going forward. Christian started his collegiate career in 2022. It was a redshirt year. He only played 4 games. In 2023, he played 13 games. He had 14 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss with a sack. In 2024, he played 12 games and only 10 starts, but he had 27 tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss, 1.5 sacks. In 2025, just this previous season, he started all 14 games, 23 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, and 1.5 sacks. He is a force of nature in the middle of that line. It takes 2 men to block him. You know, and that's going to free up somebody like a Chase Young, somebody like a Wilson that we just acquired. Yeah, man, I am excited to see Mr. Miller in the black and gold, who was picked number 10 in the second round, 42nd overall. Christian Miller, defensive tackle from Georgia. Well, in the second round, the Saints, well, not the second round, but the second day of drafts, as we move to the third round, the Saints, they stayed in Georgia. They stayed with the Bulldogs locker room and decided to snatch them up a tight end. In the night pick in the third round of the NFL draft, the Saints select Oscar Delp, a tight end from Georgia. He is 6'4" tall, 245 pounds. This was a position I felt the Saints needed to address, even though they brought in Noah Fant in free agency. You know, you lost Foster Monroe in free agency to kind of counteract that. But all you really have is Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant in those positions, and I think we still had that rookie from last year we drafted, but he didn't get much playing time. But in any event, I still felt you needed like another prototypical tight end, meaning he can block, he can run routes when you need him to, and he can catch. Juwan Johnson, he's not that. Juwan Johnson is a receiver in a tight end's body. He doesn't block. So you need reassurance there. And from what I gathered from Oscar Delp he is your prototypical tight end. The way they used him in Georgia, he wasn't so much of a pass catching tight end as much as he was your staying in and blocking tight end. But Oscar started off his collegiate career once again in 2022. He played in 13 games as a reserve for the then national champion Georgia Bulldogs. In 2023, he played all 14 games, 10 starts. He had 284 yards of receiving and 3 touchdowns. In 2024, he started all 14 games again. Played in all 14 games. He started 10, and it was pretty similar in stats. He had 248 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns that year. Last year, once again, he actually started all 14 last year. He had 261 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Like I said, it was a different offense. It's more of a run heavy offense in Georgia, but he's more of a prototypical blocking tight end, and we can definitely use that on this offensive line, which needs all the help they can get. So in the third round, the Saints draft Oscar Delp, tight end out of Georgia. We move over to the fourth round. The Saints had 2 picks in the fourth round. And speaking of offensive line need help, the Saints addressed it here with the 32nd pick in the fourth round. The Saints selected Jeremiah Wright, guard out of Auburn. Jeremiah Wright is 6 feet 5 inches tall, 331 pounds. Yeah, he's a healthy young man. He actually started his collegiate career in 2020. He played 6 games as a reserve DN. He played on defense at the time. In 2021, he was a redshirt DN as well. He was recovering from surgery. But in 2022, that's when he moved over to left guard. He played in 12 games with 1 start. In 2023, he played in 11 games as a reserve. In 2024, he started all 12 games at right guard, as well as 2025. And so he bounced around the line, both guard positions. And the New Orleans Saints love that. The offensive lineman, you can interchange. You can play him at left guard, right guard, throw him at tackle, maybe even have him play a little center sometime. They don't care in New Orleans. If you on that offensive line, you need to play all 5 positions. And so and it's also good that he has experience on that D line because, hey, the tendencies of a D tackle. And so if he's standing in front of you and you know that he's leaning this way or leaning that way, got his hand in the dirt on this play or standing up on this play, you know what to expect and govern yourself accordingly. So we'll see how it all pans out. Being a guard in the SEC is not easy. And he played 3 years at that position, or 4 years actually, at that position, facing some of the meanest in that conference, one being Christian Miller. Oddly enough, now they're teammates. And so in our first pick in the fourth round, the Saints drafted Jeremiah Wright, guard out of Auburn. Our next pick, which was 4 picks later at number 36, the Saints, hey, you can never have too many receivers. The Saints went out and grabbed them another one in Bryce Lance, receiver from North Dakota State. He's pretty tall. He is 6'3", 205 pounds. I'm sorry. Yeah, he got a little chunk on him. He started his collegiate career in 2021. He was a red shirt that year. In 2022, he played in 13 games as a reserve and on special teams. He played in all 15 games in 2023 as a reserve in special teams. In 2024, he was first team All Missouri Valley Football Conference. He led the FCS with 17 receiving touchdowns. He led the team with 75 receptions. He had 1,071 receiving yards that year. He played in all 16 games in 13 starts for the national champions. In 2025, he was elected to the first team AP FCS All-American. He was a first team All Missouri Valley. He ranked 6th in the FCS with 21.2 yards per reception. He had 51 catches for 1,079 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. Needless to say, he started all 13 games for North Dakota State, but he is currently the first North Dakota State player with 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons. And in case you were wondering, yes, he is the brother of Trey Lance, the quarterback that was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers back in 2021. I don't know where he's at right now. I forgot what team Trey Lance went to. I know he went to Dallas for a little while, and then he went somewhere else. But I can't remember. But either way it go, that's his brother. This is his little brother. Hopefully, he pans out a little better than his big bro did in the NFL for us. I see him more as a special teams player, at least from the start. He most likely he'll work his way up, Rashid Shaheed did. You know, Rashid started off as a special teams player. Well, he still is really. He helped Seattle get a Super Bowl ring, but he eventually got on the field as a starter, and maybe it'll work out the same way for Bryce. This was a compensational pick that we received because we lost Paulson Adebo a couple of years ago in free agency. That's how that works. So thank you, Paulson. Anyway, moving over to the fifth round. The Saints started off with 2 picks in the fifth round, but we ended up with just 1, and I'll explain later. In the fifth round, with the 32nd pick, the Saints once again addressing a need, shoring up the secondary, drafts Lorenzo Styles Jr. out of Ohio State. You know we had to get an Ohio State. We couldn't go up. We could not let this draft pass us by without getting a Buckeye. Lorenzo is 6 feet tall, 194 pounds. He started off his collegiate career in 2021 at Notre Dame. He played all 13 games as a reserve receiver, oddly enough, where he had 344 yards receiving and 1 touchdown in 2022. Still at Notre Dame, he played all 13 games and 8 starts at wide receiver. He had 340 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. In 2023, he transferred to Ohio State, where he was redshirted. He played 6 games as a reserve, including 2 playoff games, but it didn't affect his redshirt status at that time. And he switched from wide receiver to cornerback during this season. So in 2024, he played all 16 games for the national champions. He had 16 tackles and 4 pass defenses. In last year, in 2025, he played in 12 games with 11 starts. He had 30 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 3 pass defenses. If Lorenzo Styles sounds familiar, well, he is the son of Lorenzo Styles Sr., who played in the NFL. Actually, I think he won a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. But that was back in, oh God, I can't remember. But he played with the Rams back in the day. His brother, Sonny, he also, he was in this draft. I think they both in this draft. They both got drafted, in fact. I forgot where his brother went. But very athletic family, as you can see. Let's see how this plays out. Another safety, knows for the ball, obviously, former receiver, so he knows routes better than anybody. So that's a good addition to have on the team. This was a pick that we received in the trade from with Seattle for Rashid Shaheed. So it looks like we got some good picks out of that. We had a second pick in the draft. I mean, in the 5th round, but we traded that pick away for a player. Saints made a trade with the Las Vegas Raiders for that 5th pick. In return, the Saints got a 7th round pick that we didn't have before, and a player, and that is Tyreek Wilson, defensive end. Tyreek Wilson is a former 1st round pick from just a couple of years ago. Not really panning out in Vegas, but still a solid player. Just last season for the Raiders, Tyree had 35 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. He had a pretty solid season, decent numbers over his career. He's had 91 tackles, 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. Yeah, he and 1 pass defense as well. That came last season. And so he's very versatile. He's a solid player. That's the best I can describe him. Really good, really good. A lot of upside. He's only 25 years old. He's still young. It's like we're getting a first round talent, or at least he was a first round pick, and we're getting had to give away next to nothing to get him. And so this was a big win, in my humble opinion. Now, whether it works out or not, we'll see. But I think the intentions were great. That's all I could ask for at this point. We move on to the 6th round, where the Saints had 1 pick, and they used that 1 pick to get yet another wide receiver. With the 9th pick in the 6th round, the Saints select LSU Tiger, Barlin Brown. He is I think he only played 1 season at LSU. He was in Kentucky. That's where he started his collegiate career back in 2022. He's 5'11" and 177 pounds. In 2022, his freshman year there, he was freshman All-American, freshman All-SEC team, led the team with 50 receptions, 628 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. He ranked 4th in the FBS in kick return average. He played in all 13 games and had 7 starts that season as a rookie. In 2023, he was 2nd team All-SEC, led the FBS with 37 yards per kick return. He led the team with 43 receptions, 539 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. He was the AP All Bowl team. He was the Gator Bowl MVP, finishing that game with 3 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. He also had a touchdown rush. He had a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in that game. Yeah, he was a beast in that bowl game. He played all 13 games that season, started in 12 as well. In 2024, still at Kentucky, he was 1st team All-SEC, 2nd team All-Purpose, played in 11 games with 9 starts that year. And in 2025, he transferred to LSU. He led the team with 53 receptions, 532 receiving yards, and he set SEC career record for 6 punt return or kick return touchdowns. He played in 13 games, started 9 for the Tigers. I think he will be utilized mostly on special teams because of his special teams ability, of course. But he is also another threat we can use in this offense. So another weapon. It's another weapon for Mr. Shuck, man. This is shaping up to be a track meet out there on Airline. And so for the final pick in this year's draft for the New Orleans Saints in the 7th round that we got in that trade with the Raiders, the Saints select a cornerback, another big need for the Saints. I know a lot of people probably boo-hooing because it's the 7th round, but that don't mean nothing because we got a pretty good player with that pick. The Saints chose TJ Hall, cornerback from Iowa. He is 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. He started his collegiate career back in 2022. He played all 13 games as a reserve, yet he got 4 tackles. In 2023, he played in the first 6 games as a reserve with 5 tackles. He missed the rest of the season due to injury, though. but he returned in 2024 and played in 12 games with 7 starts. That year, he had 19 tackles, 1 interception, and 2 pass defenses. And this past season in 2025, he was third team All Big Ten Conference. He led the team with 10 pass defenses. He started in 11 games with 47 tackles and an interception. He missed games, though, with a shoulder injury and hand injuries. That's mainly why he fell to the 7th round. But he is a pretty mid-level draft pick. I would say 3rd, 4th round, maybe even 5th. Who knows? But he's in that little realm there. Talent-wise, I think he is a solid player as well. I think the Saints really knocked it out the park in this draft. I know that a lot of publications like to give their grades on each team's draft picks, and I'll say to this. I stopped paying attention to that in 2017. Actually, it was 2018, but it was after the 2017 draft took shape for the New Orleans Saints. Just think about that draft. The Saints drafted Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams. Who else was in that draft? I forgot who else was in that draft. But the Saints knocked that draft out the park. I remember that the Saints got like a B- or a C for that draft. Look at that draft. Now, sit back and look at that draft now. Does that look like a B- or a C? No, that was an A+ draft. You had Marshawn Lattimore. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Ryan Ramczyk was the best offensive lineman we had in 10 years. Marcus Williams, he was great until he wasn't. But you had some and Alvin Kamara. What can I say about him? But it was a solid draft, and they gave it a mid-level grade. And I was like, nah, I'm not paying attention to these grades no more. They don't know what and nobody knows. Honestly, I'm sitting here and excited about it, but I don't know. Nobody knows. That's why you should temper your expectations and your frustrations as well, because you don't know. But the positions, what the Saints needed to address, all that happened, and that's what I'm excited about. Now, whether it all pans out, like I said to open up this show, whether it all pans out, that's up to these young men. That's up to the coaching staff. So we're just have to wait and see how it goes. I want to know, how did you feel about this draft, the 2026 NFL draft, your New Orleans Saints? Did you like these picks? Did you think the Saints could have done better? I think that should have been a better question or a better argument to have. Okay, if you think the Saints could have did better, who they should have drafted then? who you think the Saints should have drafted that was better than this? I think back to the first night when the Saints drafted Jordan Tyson, and a lot of people were upset that they didn't draft I think Reuben Bain. Now, could we have used Reuben Bain? Yeah, the little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms Reuben Bain. Yes. And I say that, but I wanted him. Of course I wanted him. The dude's a beast. But you can't go wrong. Getting another outside threat, a position we needed. It's not like 2019, 2020 with Cesar Ruiz. We went and got Cesar Ruiz in the first round when Lamar Jackson was sitting there. No, it's not. It's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. You needed a receiver. And so that's fine. But we did go back and address DN. It's one thing if we would have passed over a Reuben Bain and never addressed a DN throughout this draft. Then I would have a little problem with it. But it was addressed. Double fold, if you ask me. They drafted a couple of defensive linemen, and they went and traded for a defensive, a proven one, because Reuben Bain isn't proven. So we went and got a proven one. It so your outrage is it's null and void about that pick. But hey, if you didn't agree with these picks, I would love to know, who do you think the Saints should have went for in this draft? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can search for the show and comment at our social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel. Like and share this video as well. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Who That Say podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap of your New Orleans Saints NFL draft recap. Oh man, I'm so happy this is over. I'm happy this is over because now the postseason is coming to an end. This signifies the end to the postseason. Now we're about to go through all these mini camps, rookie mini camp, getting into off-season activities, and that's going to lead us to training camp proper, and then the wheels are off. We're off to the races for the real deal. I can't wait for football. Until we get to that time of the year, man, it's been exciting. Happy to do this show. Happy to be back. I was debating for a while to come back. Every year I threaten to myself, not none of you, but threaten to myself, I'm not doing this show next year. I can't do it. I'm trying to protect my mental health. I'm not doing this with the Saints this year. But just like any real Saints fan out there, we bleed black and gold. We can't let it go. So until the season gets ramped up, we're on hiatus. But don't worry. I'm still going to be screaming to the top of my lungs, who that?